Earthborne Trucks and Equipment.
Hello, my name is Craig Hitchen. I am the National Sales Specialist with Earthborne Truck and Equipment. The reason for this video today is to provide some detailed information about the Green Climber MDB and also to provide a video resource for the operators in the field to assist them to maintain this equipment on a daily, midday, and end-of-day basis. Also assist them with some common repairs and common maintenance procedures that are needed in order to ensure their success. This machine has some very specific uses on 60-degree slope and will cut 4 to 6 inch trees in its current configuration. This is the Green Climber LV800 remote slope mower. It is designed to operate on a 60-degree slope in hard to reach areas. It's powered by a 74.9 horsepower American-built, liquid-cooled Kohler diesel power plant with 4 hydraulic pumps. The head comes on a shifting plate that allows you to shift the head left and right up to 19 inches. There are multiple heads available, including stump grinders, buckets, grass flails, grapples. This current configuration is with the TF150 forestry mulching head with 39 carbide teeth, each with 2 bolts, a long and a short bolt. This TF150 head is currently available also with bite limiters. In this configuration, it does not have the bite limiters. It will cut a 4 to 6 inch tree, like I said, on a 60-degree slope. The drum rotates forward and backward. It will not cut backwards, but it will allow you to unwind vines or material that might get caught between the teeth and the cutting bar behind the head. The cooling system on this machine includes an auto-reversing fan that reverses every 7 minutes or manually by the remote if you're working in an area where you feel your cooling system is being clogged. It also includes a nylon rope winch that is operated either from the machine or a tether remote that will assist in removing the machine. It will not move a dead machine, but it will assist. And very rarely does this machine get stuck with the track expanders as it in this current configuration. Oftentimes you can move the tracks in and out to adjust your traction and get your machine out of where it may be. With your Green Climber, you will receive a remote case, the contents of which are very important for this machine, and we'll review them now. Every Green Climber will come with this case that includes a owner's manual and access to their online resources for that manual. It'll also have a manual for the head, the TF150 head, the Kohler engine, and the Warren winch. Additionally, you will find in here the winch tether, which has a receiver on the top rear of the machine to operate the winch. It can also be operated from a button on the rear of the machine. There is also an emergency tether for the remote. Should the remote not connect with the machine, happens very rarely, but in the emergency case it does, you can plug in one end to the remote, the other into the data center of the machine, and be able to drive the machine back to a trailer or a safe area. You cannot mow using this tether. It's just for emergency where you need to drive the machine if there were to be a failure with the remote. Additionally, there is a grease gun that comes with the machine and a fitting for the grease tensioner fitting on the machine. The purpose for this is in order to properly tension the tracks to 180 bars. We provide this with the remote and the machine so that you can properly operate on a daily basis. We recommend having a separate grease gun for the fittings for daily maintenance. and maintain just this gun for track tensioning. Each machine also comes with 4 keys, 2 sets of the same key. One key is for the ignition of the machine. The other key is for the fuel cap. And finally, of course, the iMet remote. That is an outstanding design and durability for this machine. And we'll review that in detail momentarily. We recommend taking the remote and the box with you at the end of each day, even if the machine stays on site. It's part of the security of the machine. Someone might be able to lift and remove this machine from a location, but if they don't have the remote, they cannot use it. And the only iMet dealer in the United States is Green Climber of North America. So in the event they try to get a remote to replace this one, they will not be able to, as this machine will be registered with you and your company. The iMet remote. This is one of my favorite remote slope mower remotes that's out there. It gives you a lot of opportunity for dialing in the efficiency on the machine. You can control the RPM separate from the head speed, separate from the track speed, and it also gives you feedback on the screen, display screen, that shows you fuel usage, liters per hour. Also shows you the RPMs of the machine. It shows you how much of the power of the machine, of the engine, is being used at the RPMs you have it set to. So you can dial that RPMs up if you need to gain additional power to the head or the tracks to get up into a specifically challenging area or to cut some harder material. We're now going to review the remote control and the various functions on the remote. As we discussed during the startup procedure, you have the sync button, and when the machine is running, this is a horn. And in the back, you have a reversing fan button that is a manual override for the reversing fan, although it does run every 7 minutes. On the left-hand side of the remote, you have the engine start and engine stop button. You have the machine forward, backward, left, and right. You can operate this in a rolling fashion in order to taper your turns. You have your flap control up and down. This is an auxiliary button. There's nothing equipped on the machine for that right now. Then you have your head control. Head up, head down, shifting left and right. Underneath the toggles, you have your speed, which is currently set to 0. If the remote is set to 0 speed, it will not move. Next to that, you have a steering bias. The steering bias will allow you to allow more pressure and power to go to one side of the tracks or the other, allowing the machine to turn to the left or turn to the right if you're working on a side slope to prevent side slippage. Or if you want to steer, you can steer with this toggle. It does provide a little bit of a smoother turning radius and procedure to prevent ground disturbance. On this side of the remote, you have a toggle for the head engagement. This is forward and backward. This is a delayed reaction also. So in order to engage the head, you must press and hold until the indicator light comes on, and just switch to neutral and the head will shut off. There is an RPM for the head here, which generally will not engage the head if you have it already on. You need to have it set to 0 to engage the head. Okay. You have a button that I will recommend not using, but you may find it useful. It will reverse all of the controls, so down will become up, backward will become forward, right will become left, and so forth. You then have the track in and out buttons. We recommend running the machine with the tracks all the way in or all the way out. You'll see when they retract or expand, they don't do that evenly, so you need to run them all the way in or all the way out before operating the machine. There is then the e-stop button. There is a float button, which will allow the head to drop to the ground if it's in the down float position. So if you have the head up and you drop it, and you push down, any touch of the down motion on the head will drop it to the ground. We recommend not necessarily using it in that fashion, where oftentimes you need to run the head slightly off the ground to avoid debris, rocks, and so forth. You have a light off and on button. You have an RPM. The RPM is currently set to 0. If we had the machine turned on with the RPM turned up, and we have the machine then started, the RPM will not go up or adjust until I zero that RPM out. Now I can turn up the RPM of the machine. And then there is an auxiliary 1 or 2 if you have an implement that requires that use of the auxiliary. Finally, you have the screen, which indicates your fuel, oil temperature, the engine load, RPM, battery voltage, hours on the machine, signal strength, and battery strength in the remote. In order to change the batteries in the remote, it's a simple, once explained situation. It's simply a depress and pull out. So you push it in and lift up, and we'll simply reconnect. The remote can run on a single battery. It does use both batteries for general operation, but if the battery indicator light says that it is low, it will show you with a light on one side that one side of the batteries is low. You can then remove that battery with the machine still running, go over and replace the battery that is under the hood in the charger. When loading the Green Climber onto a trailer, we recommend loading it head towards the towing vehicle. The center of balance is approximately at the 3rd bolt, just directly underneath that grease tensioner. There are also 4 attaching points, 2 on each side of the track, one there, and on the other side as well. We recommend also transporting with the tracks in. Currently the tracks are out. And then a 5th attaching point should be strapped around the head and attached to the trailer. That would be the proper configuration to transport the LV800. We're going to take the opportunity to review the TF150 head, its daily maintenance, operation, and general configuration. So let's take a quick walk around. You'll see that there are 2 auxiliary hydraulic hoses set up that run the front flap of the machine. That flap is controlled by a hydraulic piston that is behind that case, so it's protected. Then you have the high flow hydraulic lines on a quick release that run the pump in the mulching head itself. This mulching head is configured with the tree push bar as well as the carbide teeth. These teeth, if they need replacing, should be replaced with the bolt sets. So when you order a tooth, it will come with a tooth and a long bolt and a short bolt. Each tooth has one long and one short bolt that goes with it. The proper torque on those bolts is 190 foot-pounds. In the event that you damage the holder, you'll see here that you have the tooth and then the holder that attaches to the drum. In the event that that holder is damaged, either at the base or along the top of it, it will need to be replaced in order to maintain the balance of the machine. In the event you do break a tooth, we recommend stopping the operation of the machine, replacing the tooth, and continuing operation so that you maintain a balanced head. We recommend keeping a few teeth with the machine so they are available for that.
Teeth of the mower head here We want to rotate our rotor. We want to inspect all our teeth, that the carbides are present, not worn down to the point where they're going to be getting into the tooth holder. We're going to spin this. We're going to make sure all our mounting bolts are in. Make sure there's no gap in between the holder and the tooth itself. That would indicate the tooth is loose. As the teeth wear, we want to split them up. 90% of your cutting is in the center. The outsides use the least for bigger material. So as your centers start to wear, you want to flip-flop. Take your outer teeth, move in the center, vice versa. That'll also it'll extend the life of the teeth, and it'll also keep the head balanced with the teeth all being consistent wear. The bolts on them are a 14 millimeter Allen head. For removing them, a breaker bar, because they are torqued at 290 foot-pounds. You break them free. You can use an impact gun to remove them all the way. When you remove a tooth, be it you're going to rotate the teeth or you're putting new teeth on, you want to make sure your holder is clean as well as your tooth is clean, the two mating surfaces. If there is any kind of material in here, even though you're tightening it, the vibration of the machine in use will make that material work loose, therefore your tooth being loose and possibly throwing a tooth.
We recommend twice a day. It's required to grease the head and the bearings. You'll see there is a grease fitting on either side there. Another one underneath the pump. I'm sorry, on the side of the pump there. Every 4 hours you'll see that there's an indicator sticker. So that means either at the end of the day or in the morning, and then again at lunch, that you put 10 to 12 pumps of grease onto both sides of the head. Additionally, on the head, you have the attaching plate. This attaching plate has another grease fitting, which doesn't hurt to do at lunch also. This front section of the head pivots on that single point, which is greased. It allows the head to then move with the contour of the ground and not dig in on either side. There are then those springs that limit that movement so that you're not over stressing that bolt. These should be checked daily and at lunch for tight on both sides. On this mounting plate, you have two 3/4 inch bolts that pull the mounting brackets up from the bottom of the head and affix it to the plate. Those should be checked daily for tightness. And then there is a locking spring and locking bolt on either side. The hydraulic pump runs a pulley system, which is run by 5 V-belts that are inside of this case. That tension of those should be checked when the machine is cold. And you can check that tension of those belts simply by referring to the guide that's on the top of the machine and the spring that indicates whether or not the yellow tensioning spring and washer line up with the arrow. In the event you do need to tension those, we recommend, again, doing it when the machine is cold and when the belts are cold by simply removing this cover and loosening the hydraulic pump and then tensioning the tension spring. And we'll go over that in detail with Evan shortly.
You want to check your belt tension. There's a diagram here, the correct and wrong way. As you can see right now, this belt is too tight. This will wear the belt out prematurely. It's a simple adjustment with a 3/4 inch either ratcheting wrench or deep well socket. You'll back the bolt off till this point is with your washer. That is the correct tension. Recommend weekly you remove these Allen head cap screws. It's a 6 millimeter. Remove the side cover. It'll expose the 5 poly drive belts. You want to inspect these in between the cogs, make sure there's no cracks, dry rotting. If you do see that, it needs to be replaced. Any debris that would accumulate in here, be it dry material, you want to get that out so it doesn't get interfere with the belts and the pulleys. If you're in a wet area, especially in the colder climates, you want to get that mud out of here. So if it did build up, freeze this pulley in place, and you engage the head, it will either snap a belt or damage the bearings. So also, this mower head has adjustable skids on it. If you were mowing in a very rocky area, you would want to elevate the head. It's just peace of mind. So, you know, you're working, you're 300 feet away from the machine, you can't gauge it. You know that your shoes are all the way down, lifting the head up. Just a peace of mind there.
Lifted and released, and supported by the hydraulic pistons. The cover over the LV800 is equipped with 2 hoods. They should be opened separately. The upper hood with the upper latch, which will expose the fuel tank, communication center, and the onboard battery charger for the remote, and excess parts and fuses for the machine, and the grease fitting for the machine. The lower hood is accessed through the lower latch, which will then give you access to the battery, the main fuse area, the rear engine compartment of the machine for cleaning. On this side of the machine, it will also give you access to the battery shutoff switch, which is there, a number of, as well as the hydraulic fluid eyeglass, which should always be at least 3/4 full. And on this side of the machine, you have the display screen, e-stop, main communication box, the main power supply, and then the air cleaner and the dipstick to check the oil. It should be noted that fluid levels are critical for operating this machine daily and should be checked every day, especially when on extreme slopes. Your hydraulic fluid levels should be 3/4 minimum inside the sight gauge for hydraulic fluid. There is a hydraulic shutoff valve located just behind the hydraulic storage container. And that should be checked every day and filled from this side of the machine. For access to the lower part of the engine compartment and for daily cleaning, these panels are easily removed. Quarter turn and removal. Once you have that removed, you're able to check daily for debris. You should be able to see the belly pans. Additionally, internally, you have the battery shutoff, and then below that, if you see through the hoses there, we have the hydraulic shutoff valve. That should remain open at all times. In the event of a broken hose, severe leak, it can be shut off to limit the hydraulic access. You no longer will be able to move the machine with that off, and you should not run the pumps with that off. Inside of the machine, you have the main computer for the machine, the e-stop button as well. You also have the remote receiver for the machine. In the event that you do need to send the remote in for repairs, you need to unhook this receiver, 4 Allen keys on either side, and you can remove that and send that with the remote. Easily reconnected. Additionally, on that receiver, you have that tether hub. In the event your remote stops communicating with the machine, you can put a hardwired connection between that remote and the receiver and drive the machine back to a safe location. You also have the main power supply that runs through the computer. This should be checked every day for connection. Then you have your antenna and additional fuses for the machine. There's a typical equipment filter, air filter on this machine. It has an internal and an external filter that should be checked daily. Just the external filter should be checked daily. Remove the cap, pull that external filter, remove it away from the machine, clean it.
I'm going to go over now the daily maintenance in the morning before your initial startup. You're going to want to have the machine on a flat surface. It's your engine oil dipstick. You want to make sure your oil's at the proper level. For some reason it wasn't. You want to bring that to the proper level before starting the machine. You want to do a visual inspection. Any large debris in the machine should be in the engine compartment, should be removed before operating the machine. We recommend that's done at the end of the shift, but if there was a situation where there wasn't time to do it as well. Your air filter here, you want to check this. Good way to test it without taking the cap off is pinch or remove this duckbill. A large amount of debris comes out of it, then remove your cover. Pull your outer element out, put your cover back on, and go away from the machine and clean this. We want to remove this cap as little as possible so we're not introducing more airborne material into here. You want to make sure all your connections are properly secure. No leaks. You'll walk around the entire unit as best as you can visually see under the unit. For leaks, be it an O-ring on a hydraulic line or a damaged hydraulic line. Again, if you see a leak, it needs to be addressed, repaired before the unit is started. Your greasing on your machine, again, we say at the end of the shift, but you want to make sure all your points on the machine side are greased and on your head side are greased. Again, with checking your fluids, your hydraulic fluid level you want to be checking on a flat surface so it's reading correctly. And again, any debris buildup in it and looking for damages and leaks. Track tension, lifting up on the center of the track, you want roughly a 1/2 inch deflection. Moving around to the rear of the machine. Release these latches by pulling out. These locks here will open up. And unlocking your rear cover for your cooling pack. You can blow this area out with either air compressor or a leaf blower. Recommend an air compressor just with more strength, with a rubber tip, staying away from the actual fins. These are aluminum and will damage. Making sure there's no sticks stuck into them. So really making sure this area is clean so the machine can breathe. There is not a sight glass for the coolant with the machine cold first thing in the morning. Opening this and making sure your fluid's at the proper level. While we have the door open, we can see the winch cable You want to do a visual inspection. Make sure there's no damage, no frays. If there is, the winch should not be used until the winch cable is replaced as a safety measure. I'm going to go over now the tracks for installation, if they would ever derail or when it comes time to putting new tracks on. First thing you're going to want to have is some 6x6 8x8 cribbing block. To elevate the front, you would put the mower head down, lifting the front of the machine up, and then putting your cribbing block under the machine, making sure it's under the machine, not the loader arm end. Having the tracks fully extended too gives you more area to work. You can also offset your head. In the back of the machine, you would need some sort of jack, be it a floor jack or a bottle jack. Again, lift the machine up, set your cribbing block under it. Once the track is off the ground, you want to remember that you want to get it up enough, because once these tracks are compressed, they'll have sag to them. You want to make sure you're clear of the ground. To remove, once you have the machine elevated and room for the track to come off, you'll need an 1 16" wrench and remove the grease fitting completely. Put some rags in this area to collect your grease. Then you'll take a ratchet strap, come around the front of the idler, and come back to this tie down point back here. Ratchet it. That'll compress the tensioner in the idler box. Another way I do it is take a long pry bar, get it into the ground, and work it back, and it'll compress that tensioner as well. Once the track is compressed, depending on where the track came off is where you would pry it back on, utilizing pry bars, making sure your sprockets are lined up in your cleats. I recommend getting it on your sprocket first, machine on, fingers clear of it. You can put pipes in here and then rotate the track around, and it'll kick back on your sprocket. You may need to take a pry bar, stab it in the ground, and push against the track. Once your tracks are back on, you'll want to reinstall your grease fitting again. There's a copper crush washer back here on the threads. You want to make sure that's on. If that is missing, over time, the tensioner will collapse on its own because it'll be able to leak the grease out. So putting your fitting back in, making sure it's secure. Special connection on the end of that fitting. So you definitely need this fitting here that is with the remote control box. Simply slide it over. Again, you want the track still off the ground to allow the track to move. Pumping this up to this gauge comes to roughly 180, 190 bar, which in turn will be from the top roller a 1/2 inch of deflection when you lift up on the track. And that is how to reinstall a track or putting new tracks on.
We're going to now review the startup procedure, warm-up procedure, and general operating of the equipment. First, we approach the machine with the key, ensuring that the e-stop button is disengaged. We recommend using the fuel key to start the machine. That allows you to insert the key, turn it, and then remove it and keep it either on a tether in a safe location. Closing the front cover, waiting for the screen to come up. Going to the remote, we're then going to address the sync button, the green button on the right-hand side of the remote. Press and release. You'll then see the 2 indicator buttons come up blinking, letting you know that the machine wants to sync. However, it's telling us that the e-stop button is engaged. Disengaged, that will remove. Now we're ready to finalize the sync. Pressing that green button one more time and release, you'll hear the pumps come up to pressure. Once that has finished, we can then start the machine. The machine is started with the engine start button on the left-hand side of the machine. It's a press and hold until the machine starts. It's a delay, so you need to press, hold. Until the machine starts. Once the machine started, we're going to allow it to run, if we were in cold weather, under 32 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes. Allow the oil and the engine to warm up. We'll also go through a hydraulic warm-up procedure where we'll engage the head at the slowest rate, so we allow the hydraulic fluid to then warm up as well. Proper PPE is required for daily operation of the machine. That should include a vest, a full helmet with face shield, screen or solid, safety gloves, chaps, and steel-toed boots. We don't recommend operating the machine without them. They are extremely important. The machine does spit out large quantities of material from the rear and the back, and we will review that during the appropriate operating procedure. Okay. So we're now going to review some finer details of running the machine. As you can see in the current state that the machine is in, the tracks are expanded out. That's to allow for a lower center of gravity for the machine. This machine is rated to run at 60-degree angle, a 60-degree slope at any angle. That's straight up and down. On its side cut, the warranty covers up to a 60-degree slope. In order to bring the tracks in or out, we recommend moving the machine forward and backward as you do so. You always mow either with the tracks all the way in or all the way out, never halfway. You'll notice as I retract the tracks that they don't necessarily come in exactly evenly on both sides or even front to back. That's the reason we want to run them all the way out or all the way in to operate the machine. And I'll demonstrate that now. So again, watch yourself. We're going to lift the head. And we'll move the machine with the tracks all the way in. When operating the head and mowing, this remote control gives you opportunities to really dial in the efficiency of the machine, utilize the minimal amount of fuel needed to run based on the material you're in. Once the head is engaged, you can then control the head speed, that is to say how much power is being directed to the head. We can also control how much power the machine's putting out RPM-wise, and you'll see as the fuel usage goes up. And then we can also dial in the track speed, which will give us more power to the tracks. So as we reach an area that is harder to climb, we can dial up for additional power. We can dial in for more power directed to the tracks to get into that area. And if we're in an area that is somewhat stable, or we have the machine in a location that we just want to mow, we can apply the power to the head and dial in to the most optimum production for the material you're cutting in. It's very important to note, as you're running the machine, as the operator, you're no longer sitting in the machine. You have to be aware of all the sights and sounds that you're hearing and seeing, and know the sounds in the machine. As you dial up the head speed, you'll hear the pumps engage, you'll hear that rotator moving, and you'll be able to know that sound, that it's appropriate, or if there's an issue that needs to be addressed. And the braking system as well. You'll also hear the RPMs. Again, ensuring that you're not hearing any unusual noises that need to be address before operating the machine for the day. We're now going to review the winch operation. In order to freewheel the winch, you do need to lift up the rear cover to access the side of the winch to engage it into freewheel mode. Otherwise, we can run the winch with the controls on the machine, or we can plug in with the remote tether for the Warn winch from here. We can when you're turning the winch, you want to ensure that your safety sleeve, protective sleeve, is towards the hook, ensuring that it's not wound up in the winch. It should be noted the winch is for assisted recovery. It will not pull a dead machine. You do need some traction on the machine in order to operate the winch and recover the machine out of a particular area. It's very rare that the machine does get stuck. With the track expansion, you can change the track width, change your traction, get the machine out. With the head shift, you can use the head to also assist with the machine recovery. But it's important to know that this winch will not pull a dead machine.